Ambassador Kethavar's mandibles clicked nervously as he watched the viewport of the Galactic Council's flagship. The stars beyond shimmered with an unnatural luminescence, and space itself seemed to ripple like disturbed water. His compound eyes tracked the impossible sight approaching their position. A fleet that shouldn't exist, flying under a banner that had been erased from official records 3 centuries ago. The blue and white flag of Terra, but it was wrong somehow. Where once a single pale dot had represented Earth, now dozens of brilliant points of light dotted the fabric, each one pulsing with the steady rhythm of a living star. "Impossible," whispered High Chancellor Vexoth, her crystalline form refracting the strange light. The humans were exiled to the Fringe. The barriers were absolute. Nothing survives in the void between galactic arms. The communication array crackled to life, filled with a voice that spoke in perfect galactic standard, though tinged with an accent that made Kethavar's carapace shiver. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Stellar Federation, requesting permission to address the Galactic Council. I believe we have some catching up to do. 300 years ago, humanity had been a problematic species. Too aggressive, the Council had decreed. Too unpredictable. Too willing to fight for causes the other races found quaint or irrelevant. When Earth had refused to abandon their primitive concepts of individual freedom and self-determination, the Council had made a decision that seemed merciful at the time. Exile, not extermination. The Great Barrier generators had surrounded human space, cutting them off from the galactic community and pushing their entire civilization into the dark void of the Fringe, the lifeless expanse between spiral arms where no sane species ventured. It was meant to be a cage. It had become a crucible. The human fleet materialized fully now, and Kethavar's enhanced vision could make out details that defied comprehension. Ships that seemed to be carved from crystallized starlight, their hulls pulsing with contained stellar fire, smaller vessels that moved like living things, adapting their configurations as they flew. And at the center, a massive dreadnought that wasn't just in space, it was space, warping reality around itself in ways that made his navigation implants scream warnings. "Permission granted," Chancellor Vexoth managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Chen appeared on the main screen, and Kethavar had to suppress a start of recognition. She looked human, but her eyes held depths that hadn't been there before, like looking into the heart of a nebula. Behind her, the bridge of her ship stretched into impossible distances, crewed by beings that might once have been human but now seemed to be something more. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Admiral Chen began, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated in frequencies beyond normal hearing. "We've returned to present humanity's application for readmission to the galactic community. I trust you'll find our credentials impressive." She gestured, and the main screen split to show a dozen different star systems. Not conquered worlds, Kethavar realized with growing horror, but actual stars, their nuclear fires tamed and harnessed. Worlds built in the spaces between their coronas where matter danced to humanity's will. "You see, when you exiled us to the Fringe, you assumed we would simply die quietly in the dark. Instead, we learned to make our own light." Her smile was radiant and terrible. "The void between galaxies isn't empty, Council members. It's full of dark matter, quantum foam, and energies that stable galactic civilizations never needed to understand. We had 300 years to figure it out." The display changed, showing vast constructs that dwarfed planets, stellar engines that could move suns, habitat rings built around captured black holes, fleets of ships that harvested the cosmic web itself for materials. "We've grown," Admiral Chen continued. "Not just in power, but in understanding. We've met others in the dark, civilizations that your predecessors also found inconvenient. The Zephyrians, who asked too many questions about council authority. The Void Dancers, who refused to limit their reproductive rights. The Stellar Gardeners, who wouldn't stop terraforming dead worlds without permits." Kethavar's stomach dropped. Those names were from the classified archives, species that had been peacefully relocated over the millennia. "We've built something new together," the Admiral said. "A federation based on the principles your council found so threatening: individual liberty, the right to grow and change, the freedom to reach for impossible dreams. We call it the Terran Stellar Federation, not because Terra rules it, but because Terra remembers what it means to be cast out and forgotten." The viewport now showed the true scope of the human fleet. Millions of ships, each one representing technologies that shouldn't exist, crewed by species that should have been extinct. The flag they flew wasn't just symbolic. Each star represented a system where exiled peoples had found new life under humanity's protection. "So here's our application," Admiral Chen said, her image flickering as reality bent around her ship. "Join us voluntarily and help build something better than what came before. Continue as you are and—" She shrugged elegantly. "Well, we've learned to be very patient, but we've also learned that some cages are only temporary." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Outside, the human fleet waited with the patience of those who had learned to think in geological time, their impossible ships casting shadows across the light of a dozen suns. Kethavar looked at his fellow council members and saw the same realization dawning in their alien features. Humanity hadn't just survived their exile, they had transformed it into evolution. The species they had cast out to prevent change had become change incarnate, and now offered the galaxy a choice it had never faced before. Progress or irrelevance, the vote when it came was unanimous.